You're going to put a Viking helmet on again. By the way, it's in the set now, permanently.
Yes.
It was too good just to throw away.
I think I'm going to go with Alucard for dressing up next. You're
going to have a...
Whoop. Castlevania Season 4.
Yes, sir.
I know we're missing a couple letters here on our thing. They decided to title it super long.
You get Castle V today. Deal with it.
And this was my finishing of a series. I think it's the way I took it. It's over. Or hopefully we'll go on to something else. I brought notes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is how serious I am getting into this.
So you're going to go down your notes.
Sure.
And then I'm going to react to what you're writing down and seeing if I feel the same way. And at the end, we'll give it a layman's review.
Absolutely.
We'll do it that way?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I hit a couple things, a couple minor things just to bridge the story and get some other people. I'm a hard critic when I watch this stuff.
Okay.
So, all right, we open up in episode 1. We're back in it, and we meet Varney and Ratko. Honestly, I had to rethink. You meet them throughout the season. I couldn't tell you who they were. I was like, I didn't even know if I've met them before. Apparently, I did after I did some research. It rolled pretty good. It did the 6 weeks and the 5 weeks like transition that's happened, or months. So it was a lot of build up off of season 3. I think as we, previous video, I tell you my thoughts and opinions of season 3. And season 4 picked up right there. I kind of thought it was much more into action. Not really, but it kind of got you to, took you around the world. Obviously, it caught you back up on what everybody was doing. We find Hector with Lenore making his hammer again. The one thing that he enjoyed doing was bringing things back to life or creating, and he needed his hammer. He explained to us that Forge Masters need special tools. Obviously, he explains Isaac's as a dagger, his is a hammer. Gets things rolling. You are introduced to Carmilla's real plan. I think we kind of guessed right. She wanted more. She wants everything.
Exactly. She hinted at that for 2 seasons.
And I think I missed it. And then you come back and it's like she literally drawing out a paper of the world at the time and going to take over.
What part of Carmilla makes you think that she draws boundaries around things?
Right. No cages. We're going to live happily. No. Underground court. Trevor and Sypha end up in a town, meet the underground court girl. I forget her name, but she really irritated me throughout the episodes anyway. Then I found my favorite character. Fly's Eyes, I think is his name. Oh, he's the one that has that conversation with Isaac that can speak. And like his voice, I really liked the whole build of him.
Was that the conversation where he was telling Isaac what they were built for? Like
yes.
Night creatures are meant to kill?
Yep.
And he was almost trying to convince him that maybe like he could do something else besides do that?
Yeah, and I think he could. I think they could, but they really wanted meat and flesh. That was and they weren't. They're rebuilding a town, the one that Isaac destroyed with the wizard and the floating bodies. So you have them rebuilding, and they're doing great work. If you look at the craftsmanship that each one of these guys are doing are pretty good. But Fly's Eyes, hands down, was my favorite this whole season.
Is Fly's Eyes his name? Or
I'm pretty sure it is because so I watch Castlevania with English subtitles. So I know their names and kind of have I'm pretty sure they quoted. Okay. And sometimes Trevor mumbles and I have no idea what he's saying. And then you have Saint Germain, but it's really Saint Germain in all the subtitles. You have Alucard hating himself for becoming Trevor.
I thought it was kind of funny though.
Right.
Because he didn't really hate himself.
Oh no, he was making jokes as because they.
You could tell Alucard throughout the season was liking who he was being.
Right. Oh God, you could see it in his face.
And when season 3 ended, if I could real quick, when season 3 ended, I was thinking to myself, was Alucard going to be like the reincarnation of Dracula, and that's how he's brought back?
Right.
Because remember how they had an orgy at the end of season 3, and they tried killing him. And I thought, oh, was this going to be him saying, "This is what I get for helping humanity," and then go the dark side? He did the opposite.
Proved everybody wrong.
Yeah, he did the opposite, and I was happy to see that because it was going to be too easy to write that.
Right, it was expected.
Some humanity disappointed him, and now he kills everyone.
Right, as Dracula did.
Exactly.
And he didn't want to be his father.
And I appreciated that arc of Alucard.
The next thing I noticed, and was a big thing, was Saint Germain met Alucard. But we left him in the Infinite Corridor.
Right.
at the end of season 3. So now it's like, where did he come from? What are we doing? And it explains it later. But the whole rest of since I learned that from there, I'm like, how did he get here? How did he get his way out?
Right.
You learn about that. And then you come to my favorite episode.
Which one?
Where Isaac attacks Carmilla.
That was pretty good. That fight scene was badass.
Oh, and for the first part, I thought she was standing in carpet or like something. Mm-hmm. Nah, pool of blood.
It was blood.
Just blood from everything she is literally butchering. But, watching her forces get ripped apart by Isaac, stone-faced, not giving a fuck about it.
He beat her ass.
It's great.
And the
one
animation
character
was so good.
And about the animation, just real quick, it was different than the other seasons, and it wasn't my favorite. Like,
oh, okay.
They were very
like
sharp
the fluidity
featured. All the characters were like not as animated to me. I don't know. I could be wrong, but
see, I thought the animation in season 4 was the best.
I think it was good for the version that they were going for.
It felt the most fluid, and therefore I think it was shaded better. I thought the detail in the faces was like sharpness, and I think they did that. And
that was, and I think they did. It was kind of a shock to me, though. I think.
Okay.
But my God,
I'm mad at you.
Can I tell you my favorite part was when Hector and Isaac reunited. I felt it. I wanted to be there, and it's like Hector was fine with dying. He had his girlfriend caged, like she wasn't going to do anything. But my God, he cut his finger off for Isaac. After Isaac said to him, revenge is childish. He's above that.
By that point, you could tell that Isaac has changed.
Both. Isaac and Hector have become different. But Isaac had the biggest, I think, from start of meeting him to end, he became a totally different person. Almost like, in Vinland Saga with Canute turning into the king.
If you haven't watched that series, you can click above Ryan's head and it'll be there, episodes 1 through 4.
But I loved it. I just was so happy that he didn't kill Hector. Hector was like,
I was too. I was.
It was just because they were my favorite in the episode, in season 2.
For the whole show, he was like trying to get revenge on Hector because he betrayed Dracula.
And Hector was doing his part to make everything right by trying to resurrect Dracula, because he felt that he got him killed. It was his fault, but Isaac understood.
So it was safe
perfectly.
to say,
my God.
So it was safe to say that Isaac was your favorite arc of the series.
It had its small blip in season 3 that I didn't appreciate,
where he had to find himself.
Right, he was in the desert,
and it was like the conversation he had with the sailor.
But that's where the build-up started. The build-up started back again, and
I really did enjoy Isaac's story.
I could watch a whole season of him. And, now that he's King Isaac, he took over the Carmilla's territory, and Hector set up those stones that got him to the Room of Blood and started that amazing fight scene. And I was happy as a clam after that episode, because I'm like, that's it. That's all I wanted. And I think it was a 30-minute episode, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the longer ones. Can I tell you how involved I was? It was like I was watching a movie. I didn't want it to end. I paused it to check the time. I'm like, oh, good, 5 minutes left.
You're already at that point. I do that with shows I love, and I get anxiety when it's like 7 minutes left.
Is it almost
I'm like,
done?
Man, I only get 7 more minutes. Especially shows that release weekly, and you only get 23 minutes.
And that's it.
I almost have to binge them because I can't watch 23 minutes and then disengage.
If you can make me entertained for 23 minutes.
Yeah, I want to keep going.
That it feels like a movie and you could watch it. I was like, I could watch an hour and a half of this. I'm like,
you do the intro, you eat 5 chips, and the show's over.
You just got settled down. And then you go back to the underground with Trevor and Sypha and girl, I don't care to know her name, and protecting the royalty. That's who's in this room. Well, then in that same thing, you find out that they're just they're dead.
So wasn't it kind of cool how they did the same ideology, that there was supposed to be this savior that come and protected them, just like the town Targovishta, I think it was, where Alucard was the warrior under the city that was supposed to come up and save them.
Yeah.
That happened, except they thought in this city it was going to happen the same way. I think it was the same city.
It was, and that's what happens at the end. That's where they're from, isn't it?
But they were just dead.
That's where Varney went.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
They were just dead in the cellar.
Yep.
in the basement.
But this girl, she believed it was.
Well, because she had to, because life was terrible, and the
And
only thing
you
keeping
don't
them
wanna
going
lose your
was that.
people.
Exactly.
Okay,
Right.
I get it. But I was actually, that was a twist.
It was.
I thought Trevor was going to go back and find big, giant king and queen eating all the food, not caring about their people, but they're safe.
Like the priest in season 1.
Yeah, right. He was like that. And I was like, all right, so Trevor's going to get pissed, maybe fight him, whatever.
Yeah.
No, dead bodies. So you have the mirrors, which are like Skypes. That's how I was trying to rationalize it for myself to understand the guy who's got the English accent. I'm like, who is he?
Nextel.
And I'm like, chirp, chirp. And
Where you at? By the way, I just dated ourselves.
it's okay.
Yeah. These guys are definitely over 30. The one's bald, so.
Nah, you're stylishly bald. Nah.
Yeah, this is by choice, everybody.
Yeah.
Just so you
Look
know.
at that.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Just so you know.
And I re-met Varney. He comes through. Then you see him again. The army's coming to Alucard's castle with the Rebus in the back. That you find out is supposed to be half man and half woman. I took that as your common hermaphrodite.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, it'll have both or one or the other, whatever. Then you come to see it is literally half of a woman and half of a man.
Yeah, they took that literally.
And I was like the whole time, I'm like, literally, this is what the Rebus is a half man and half woman. And you just wanted to see what that was all about. I'm like, all right, that's kind of creepy. The skin's hanging open.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
Varney jumps through the big mirror that just your face doesn't go through. This is your house-sized mirror, and he jumps through. Trevor and Sypha follow right behind. Boom. We're in Alucard's castle now, because meeting up with the army that's coming to take over, and the townsfolk are protecting it, all that jam. Saint Germain's upstairs doing his ritual, loving life, I'm guessing, because he wants his girl back. I get it. Love. Anyway,
Sacrificed everything he believed in
Yeah.
to gain it, too.
to get there. And I'm like, all right. Then you find out he's, trying to save her. It's not her. I don't know. Big story. I could have did with a smaller Saint Germain story. I don't think he was completely like you had to build a story. No, you could just had him. He showed up. He's a wizard. Hector's a wizard. Everybody's a wizard. Harry's a wizard. And I think one of your favorite parts, if I had to take a guess, is Death arrives.
Okay, that was amazing. Talk about like a great final villain of the show that came out of left field.
Which was Varney.
You never
turned Death.
Yeah, you never thought that there would be like the surprise end villain at the end, and it's literally Death.
But they did reference him in an
Very
earlier
early on.
episode, and you thought I was like, okay, they're just a cult praying to Death, and he's their god. And
I didn't take
there's
it
a
too
statue.
seriously either, but I was like, oh no, they were definitely foreshadowing that.
No, he's real. He's there, and he's got Varney's same accent, which I wasn't sold. When you look at Death and you look at Varney, you don't expect that voice. I don't know. It took me a minute to get over that, because Varney's voice just annoyed me from the beginning.
Yeah, he had a terrible voice.
And then it became Death, this all scary thing, and he's literally joking every 4 seconds. And that guy's voice saying fucking just didn't make sense to me. It just wasn't working. Sypha and Trevor, you finally find out they're in love. You wanted it.
You knew it the
felt
whole time.
it. You did.
You knew
but
it the
they
whole
didn't
time.
ever say it. Trevor's never loved anything but himself his whole life. And when he finally says it, I know.
It was a cool moment.
It was. And then he went, yep.
But you know why? As soon as it was happening, I was like, oh no. Saint Germain did this, because they panned to him for a second, and his hand just
Yes.
went towards the gem.
I didn't notice that until they brought it back up. But
When Trevor showed up at the end, that was really cool.
because Alucard recognized the horse, and I thought that was cool. And I'm like, all right, so maybe someone's just bringing the horse back. Like had tag on it, told the address, and he's on it, beaten, looking good though. And at that time, right before that, we found out that Alucard's inviting all the people to live with him, trying to start a village. Sypha's pregnant with Trefor.
So you know how you watch a show for a long time, and you want there to be a really good ending? Castlevania was the really good ending you want for every show.
Honestly, I'm glad you said that, because I felt how they wrapped it up.
Talking to you, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones was great until it wasn't.
Awful ending. It was terrible.
So you have this ending, And you guys have seen I've struggled through season 1. I've had some difficulties in season 3.
Yeah.
But I stuck through it in the end. And movies, shows that I've seen, animes I'm going to start to see. This ending,
it was great.
It's going to hold strong.
It was great.
Yeah,
I've watched a ton, and I'm telling you, things just don't end. You build up and you build up and you build up and you build up, and then for some reason or another, you're always let down.
Yep.
Season 4 of Castlevania was just like, this is exactly how I wanted this to
What
end.
other show, and I can't think of one, that you grew so attached to a main character, and then they died, and you were okay with it. But then you were okay either way. He came back, and I was happier, happier with that, because you could look at him, Alucard, Trevor, Sypha, Alucard's new lady,
Yep.
and his town of people, and happily ever after. They're going to maintain killing their monsters. They're going to maintain doing all this. What town wouldn't want Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard protecting it?
Exactly.
Right. And so I'd be happy if I was just plowing my farm, building my house, and then having these 3, who's great. There's kids. Sypha's kid's going to grow up, and honestly, season 4.
So you gave me that was your whole synopsis of before we get into the review. Let me for a minute just give you all my thoughts, like regurgitate it really quick.
Yep, go ahead. All yours.
Okay. 3 fight scenes in particular, amazing. You already mentioned one, Isaac and Carmilla.
The best.
Fantastic. There was one where it was Striga, where she put day armor on. I want Studio Powerhouse to do Berserk. Make it happen, world, please. We got to sign a petition. He has no idea what I'm talking about, but maybe some people watching do. When she put the day armor on, I saw guts. That's all I saw was guts. It was guts reincarnated and animated without shitty ass CG. And there are people out there that know exactly what I'm talking about.
What the fuck is this?
Please do Berserk. That scene, and then Trevor and Death. It was just amazing. Those 3 fight scenes made all the action that you could ask for in the whole season.
I forgot the Striga one.
Well, it was amazing. One of the most satisfying arcs to me in the season was Lenore. I thought.
And Hector, or just Lenore?
No, Lenore.
Okay.
I thought because Lenore was always not as aggressive as her sisters, she was the diplomat. She told you from the beginning she was a diplomat, but you saw that she wanted something different than the life that vampirism has given her.
Right.
And she wanted to go out on her own terms, and man, I thought like the way she was written was fantastic, and the way she went out, I was like, that's a great ending for a character. And Hector as well, but not as much as Lenore.
No, Lenore ended. She's done.
Isaac
she went out on her own.
Isaac was fantastic from start to finish. His arc, fantastic as well. Trevor and Sypha, I love the relationship between the two of them. I thought
they're perfect
it
for
made
each
you
other.
believe their relationship. When he said at the end that Trev 4 is a terrible name, he was telling her that he knew she was pregnant before she even told him he was pregnant.
Right, and
which
you find that
was just a cool moment before he went and threw hands with Death and won.
And he was fine with that. He procreated, and you realized that he should have a kid, because back then I think people were just breeding left and right.
Saint Germain. I didn't really like the direction they took his character.
Okay.
I know they used him as a plot device it was the one thing about the show. I liked Saint Germain in season 3. That's where we differed. I actually liked his character.
He was annoying.
I didn't like the direction they took him in season 4, where he was willing to literally probably murder humanity like Dracula wanted to do in order to get his love back. I did like the flashback to give you a little bit of context to who she was and how cool she was.
Yes.
I liked that part.
Yes.
I just didn't like the direction of where he went as a character, and he somewhat redeemed that when he saved Trevor's life at the end. So cool. All in all, I thought season 4 was probably my second favorite season of Castlevania, if not number 1.
Okay.
Season 2 was really good. I really liked season 3. Season 1 was the only one that I could have took it or left it.
4 episodes.
Because it was 4 episodes, and it was kind of like a pilot more than anything, which is exactly what
And we're forgetting something so major that I just remembered. Dracula's alive.
And
woo!
yeah,
with his wife.
and that's my last point.
Okay.
Dracula at the end, where he is reincarnated with his wife Lisa.
Yep, he was. You could tell. You could see a different Dracula.
It's not this. He got his wife back, and he almost feels like he's gonna go.
Excuse me,
just,
Vlad.
He's just gonna go live his life
Normal.
anywhere he wants as a normal. And they're not even gonna go back to Alucard. Let him live his life. Even
Yeah.
Lisa said, "We've
There's no
traumatized
hate.
him enough. We've traumatized him enough. let him live his life. It was a great season.
I
and when
agree.
Trevor came back at the end, I was like, fantastic end to a season.
I thought it was
fantastic
good.
end to a show. And guys, that leads us right into Layman's review for season 4 of Castlevania. We didn't talk about this at all before we got started, and we have to agree on a score.
So
we're
tell
gonna
me
try
yours
to,
first.
We're going to try to talk this over. I'd give it a solid 9.
Solid 9. You know what? I agree.
Good. Oh, so a 9.
It's a 9.
Okay, good.
I gave season 3, 7.5, 8. We settled on the 8.
Yeah.
Vinland Saga.
That's a 10.
I
don't give a shit if you disagree.
Right.
It's a 10. And I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about them. I don't care if you disagree. Vinland Saga is a 10.
And
Go
I
watch
agree.
it.
I
Please.
think it's great. I wake up every day wanting to watch more. But season 4, Castlevania, 9 out of 10, hands down.
Good.
We got decorations now. Like I said, it's
forever
great.
in the shot.
Yeah. This is another good one because I think, like you said, Vinland Saga was a 10. Got a helmet. Vampires and Alucard and Trevor and Sypha, they're going to live here. And I hope they continue.
There is a spinoff
form of it.
announced, by the way. We don't know what it is to the time of recording, but we do know a spinoff is coming.
Perfect.
So we do have more of the Castlevania lore to look forward to.
Yep.
So
Perfect.
that wraps up Castlevania. So if you like what
Thank
you
you.
see, like and subscribe. Tell us a show that you want us to review in the comments below, and we'll catch you next time.